Hey, I'm Jeremy. Welcome back to Rugby Informer. We're just taking a look at some of the biggest signings ahead of the URC 2024-2025 season that are most likely going to make the biggest impact. And out of the gate, the biggest news story is Kolisi going back to the Sharks from his stint at Racing. I think Kolisi is going to add a huge amount back to the Sharks, even though he was already there and it seems like a little bit of a coming home for him. Him going back to the Shark tank will add a huge amount of competition to the loose forward setup that they already have. I mean, they've already got the Chuchuka brothers. There's a lot of guys floating around that are potentially starters for the URC. So Kolisi going back there is going to make that internal competition very interesting. And obviously bringing his leadership skill and his experience and his ball carrying ability, combining that with the likes of Eben Etzebeth and Andre Esterhazen that they've got now in the ranks, Kolisi is going to add a huge amount of go forward for the Sharks that will probably put them in contention for the title this year, and then heading into Champions Cup. You know, they had a very good Challenge Cup season. They ended up winning it. Going to be a proper force to be reckoned with Kolisi on their side. Second is Fakir Abrahams, a guy who seems to have slipped off the radar a little bit from South African rugby, but he is an incredible winger. If the likes of Colby and Arendse weren't floating around the Springboks, I think Abrahams would probably be in the conversation. He had a great period when he was playing with the Sharks. He ended up going to Lyon in France and was ripping teams to shreds. He's got incredible footwork, he's fast, he's smart, he works in the backfield really well, and he's been picked up by Munster. So he's going to the Irish Giant Club. He's going to be linking up with some quality international players, and there's no doubt you're going to see Abrahams on the wing scoring a lot of tries this URC. So I think he's a player to watch. I think he's going to get into the conversation, maybe even the Springboks again, if he has a really good URC. And I think anyone who underestimates him on the wing is going to be ripped to shreds pretty quickly. So check out for Fakir Abrahams when he plays for Munster this season. Another kind of forgotten name from New Zealand rugby is Aidan Morgan. This is a guy who's played All Black under-20 rugby. He was kind of floating around the Hurricanes for quite some time and didn't get the game time that he probably deserved. But he's an incredible playmaking fly-half fullback. Every time he's on the field, he's a little jack in the box, popping up all over the place. Got fantastic passing game, very skillful, great runner, strong in defense, and he's been signed to Ulster. They need a young, exciting, exuberant fly-half, and Aidan Morgan is very likely going to be that for them. Ulster play a very exciting, expansive game of rugby, and they finally have a fly-half who's going to channel that and unlock that. You've got guys like Jacob Stockdale floating around. Werner Koch has been signed to Ulster. So I think Ulster kind of gets sometimes sidelined with the bigger Irish teams of Leinster and Munster in the conversation for URC finals. I think you're going to see Ulster a bit of a surprise package this year. And Aidan Morgan is going to be a name that's racking up a lot of points for them. Continuing the theme of overlooked fly halves, Callum Sheedy has signed from Bristol, going to Cardiff Blues. Here's a guy who's got international experience playing for Wales, but he's kind of been left out of the Welsh picture a few times, kind of in and out of the squad. But anyone who's watched Bristol Bears rugby in the Premiership over the last couple of years, Sheedy's name has been on any one of those amazing attacks, all those long-range tries. He's kind of been the catalyst to spark some incredible attacking rugby with the likes of Semi Radradra, Charles Piutau, all these guys over the last couple of years who've scored these incredible tries. You pull up the highlights and Callum Sheedy is the guy who starts those attacks. So he's a guy who can goal kick. He's good on defense. He's got a lot of flair with his skill, his passing game. He's going to be a huge addition to Cardiff. They needed someone that's going to light the fire in that back line. And I think Callum Sheedy might take Cardiff from kind of teetering along the log in the URC to being a team that can score a lot of tries and put a lot of points on other sides. So I think look out for Callum Sheedy this year in the Cardiff Blues colours. And of course, this is one people kind of forgotten about, but Geordie Barrett going to Leinster. This was a bit of a surprise to everyone, seeing a current and superstar All Black getting signed at the prime of his career. But the New Zealand Rugby Union seem happy for Geordie to have a little bit of a break and play up north, which will probably develop his game quite dramatically. You've Leinster, who are already a side stacked with international quality, Gary Ringrose, Ross Byrne, all these guys. Now you're going to have a very, very experienced All Black centre joining them. And obviously Barrett can also play fullback, but predominantly he's kind of become a really stern, strong inside centre for the New Zealand side. So he'll probably slot into Leinster very well. He's got that ball playing ability. He can get the ball out the back. Leinster love running those intricate backline moves. I think he's going to slot in there really, really well. And with his long-range goal kicking, I think he's going to be racking up quite a few points for Leinster. So Jordie Barrett's a huge, huge coup for the side. They're going to be in contention for the finals without a doubt, unless their season completely self-implodes. And just for some honourable mentions, joining Barrett at Leinster is Achia Snyman, who jumps from rival province Munster. Snyman's going to be a huge addition to Leinster, especially in the lineouts, and bringing his kind of physicality and skill set to Leinster with the international quality they have. I think Achia Snyman will probably finally come into his own in the club scene, where he dealt with quite a lot of injury and off time at Munster. Another biggie is Stephen Kitsoff coming back to the Stormers from Ulster. He's already played a few games for Western Province, but I think he's going to be a huge addition back at the Stormers. He's going to slot right back in there and be a pivotal part of that scrum and that entire system as he used to be. And another lost name in New Zealand rugby, unfortunately, was Josh Ioane, a guy who played some All Black rugby and was pivotal for the Chiefs over the last couple of years. He never really got his shot for bigger things, and he's now signed with Connacht. So it'd be interesting for him to see how he goes at the Irish province. I think he's a really good ball player, very skillful, very smart. He can also play at fullback. So Josh Ioane is a guy I'll be keeping my eye on, and it'll be interesting to see how all these new additions go in the URC. It's really becoming a league that all the best players in the world want to join. So it's very exciting to see these guys joining these respective teams. But let us know who you think got the best signing in the off-season. Which side do you think is going to get the most benefit out of their new players? Please comment below. Please hit like, please hit subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.